Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
The following is a Sunday feast lecture given by His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj in New York, USA.
Jai Radha Madhava Om Jnana Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurmilitanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Srila Prabhupada established the first temple in New York, and this temple was established after a long struggle, and Prabhupada introduced the Sunday program, such as Aarti, lectures, Kirtan and Prasad. The purpose was to give us spiritual association and remind us about the importance of human life. The Krishna conscious movement is presenting a philosophy based on the ancient Vedic texts, which point out that human life is rare and hence must be used in serving the Supreme Lord. These days, wherever you travel, and as I told you just in the last 6 weeks, I've been to Africa, Europe, America, Russia. One common thing you hear from everyone, and that is crisis, crisis, recession, recession, bad times, am I right? It doesn't matter where you go. This is the number one topic of discussion, just like the weather usually is the number one topic of discussion in ritual life. So, we all know that doesn't matter how hard you try in ritual life, you can't escape the miseries of life. The miseries, as explained, are sevenfold, beginning with birth and disease, old age, and then miseries caused by the mind, other living entities. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, who appeared on the planet about 520 years ago, he gave us very valuable philosophy that we should all take advantage of. Since our subject matter is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, today we will discuss Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings to Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Rupa and Sanatan were one time holding very important positions in the government. Nawab Hussain Shah was a Mohammedan ruler, but they gave up their important government positions in favor of serving Lord Chaitanya's mission. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, Brahmanda Brahmita Kuna Bhagavanuji, Guru Krishna Kripa Bhai Bhakti Lalabi. After going through many births and deaths, is he the fortunate soul who receives Bhakti Lata Beej? Bhakti Lata Beej means the seed of devotional service. In other words, we who presently have a human body should realize that we have gone through unlimited births and deaths in different pieces of life. For example, the Vedic scriptures give us information that there are 900,000 species that live in water. Jala Java Nama Lakshmi. Can anybody, any scientist dispute this? Modern science acknowledges that there are unlimited species of life, but they do not have knowledge how many exact species there are, but they acknowledge there are unlimited species. So the 900 pieces, they live in water. Then there's species that belong to the insect category, about 1.1 million species. Then there's species that belong to the bird category, about 1.0. Then there's species that belong to the animal category, about 3 million. And then there's species that belong to the human category. How many are there in the human category? 400,000. So, all of you sitting here have to realize that this birth that you presently have is a result of a long evolutionary cycle. Just like in a day-to-day life, if something is obtained with difficulty, you value it, isn't it? If something is obtained easily, you don't value it so much. You don't bother to keep your newspaper in a bank safe. You see in America, everywhere, the newspaper man just throws the paper in front of their door and nobody even bothers to steal it. People are honest. But it's because it's not something so valuable, you don't really care much about it. But if you had some valuable possessions, like a diamond ring or a golden ring or even a silver ring, I'm sure you would have someone throw it outside your door. So even in our day-to-day life, we do value expensive things, and we tend to be more careful. Therefore, the Vedas say, Thata Brahma Jigyasa. Now you've got the human form of life, please use it correctly. Lord Caitanya has said, after going through many births and deaths, is he the fortunate soul who receives Bhakti Lata Beat. Beat means, who knows what the meaning of beat? Seeds. Who receives the seed of devotional service. Just like all of you who come to ISKCON temples. There are many temples in every city, but generally the devotees who come to ISKCON temples are those who have interest in Bhakti Yoga, who have interest in the science of devotion. So Bhakti Lata Beej. Bhakti Lata Beej means receiving knowledge about the importance of devotional service. Bhakti. Bhakti means devotion. Now, if you analyze, everyone has some devotion or the other. Am I right? Just like I usually go for an hour's walk every morning. And when you go to the parks in North America, Russia, you see people walking with their dogs, taking dogs out for fresh air. And you often see the dogs pulling their master. Sometimes you see the master pulling the dog, and sometimes you see the dogs pulling the master. The point we're trying to make is, we all have some devotion, if not to the right personality, then to other personalities, cats, dogs, etc. We are all in favor of protecting cats and dogs. That is why our philosophy is not even to harm an ant. The nature of a devotee is you don't even harm an ant, total non-violence. So you receive knowledge about the importance of devotional service. Now, these senses that we have, they have to be engaged, either positively or negatively. Just like, for example, we have 5 knowledge-acquiring senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, touch. The eyes need engagement, am I right? We don't expect all of you are going to blindfold yourself so so your eyes don't have to work. The tongue. The tongue needs engagement. And the tongue has two principal engagements. One is to vibrate and the other is to eat. You have ears. We don't expect you're going to put cotton swabs in your ears so your ears don't hear anything. You may be able to do it for a few hours, but you certainly couldn't do it on a permanent basis. You have nose. You don't really stuff your nose and block your nose. You have to use the nose for something or the other. So if you are in the path of devotion, then you will think, well, I have these eyes. Let me use these eyes to see the beautiful form of the Lord. Krishna, for example, is all attractive. You have to tongue, use it to vibrate the glories of the Lord or to taste Krishna Prasad. You have ears, use it to hear the glories of the Lord. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni states that very activity which is the cause of bondage becomes the cure of the bondage if you apply it in a therapeutic manner. For example, milk gives you a bad stomach. But the same milk, when it is consumed in the form of yogurt, it cures the bad stomach. So the science of Bhakti teaches you that these senses need engagement. It would be foolish for us to tell you, okay, lock up your senses. But the answer is, engage them in a positive way. Now, when you receive knowledge about the process of devotional service, that's good. But that's not the end. You may have knowledge, but knowledge needs to be applied. You may have learned something, but if you don't apply that knowledge, it loses value. You go to a medical school, but before you can start practicing, you have to do your internship. Put that knowledge into practice. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, having received this knowledge about the importance of devotional service, this seed of devotional service has to grow. Now in this part of the world, most of you have access to gardens. Most of you probably have a lawn in your backyard and your front yard. But in some parts of the world, to have a backyard and front yard lawn is a luxury like in India. So you have experienced that the seed, you may plant the best seed, but that seed will only grow if the seed is watered. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uses this analogy to explain that the seed of devotional service will grow if you chant the holy names of the Lord. Just like you may have a seed, you may have the best seed, but if you don't water, it won't grow. So you've got this knowledge that I must render devotional service. You've got this knowledge that I need to develop attraction, love for the Supreme Lord. But in order for that to be realized, we should chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This ISKCON movement is also known as the Hare Krishna movement. In fact, we're more famous for the Hare Krishna movement than the ISKCON movement. If you were to do a survey, you'd probably find most people have heard of Hare Krishna, but a lesser degree people have heard of ISKCON. So, what do we chant? We chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Mahamantra means a chant that can give you peace of mind. Mantra means chant that can give you peace of mind. And in our Vedic literature, there is reference to unlimited mantras. But this Hare Krishna mantra has been specified as a principal chant for deliverance. Chanting the name of the Lord is emphasized in all the scriptures. You can turn to Christianity. It says, thou shalt always chant the name of the Lord. Turn to Islam. There's emphasis about chanting the name of the Lord. Turn to Granth Sahib. There's unlimited mention of chanting the name of the Lord. Turn to Buddhism, Judaism. All scriptures emphasize chanting the names of the Lord. So, there is significance in this point. Almost in all traditions, they have rosaries or japamalas that they use to chant the names of the Lord. Now, what does chanting the name of the Lord do? Someone may say, tell me, why should I chant? I don't want to chant. Tell me, give me some good reasons why should I chant? Now, one benefit of chanting the holy name of the Lord is that it cleanses the heart of unlimited material attractions. We have unlimited material attractions. Specifically, we are heavily influenced by lust, anger, greed, envy, hatred. In the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was questioned by Arjuna. If you read the Bhagavad Gita carefully, you'll observe it's a question and answer book. Arjuna is asking questions and the Lord is replying. So to ask questions or to have doubts is not surprising, but we need to settle these doubts in the manner that Arjuna did. So Krishna was asked, how is one compelled into sinful acts unwillingly? We know this is wrong. We know this is detrimental. But I still get carried away and I do what's wrong. So Arjuna wanted to know, how is one compelled into sinful acts unwillingly? And Krishna responded by saying, it is thus only the all-devouring envy of the living entity that is always burning like fire and is never satiated. So Krishna identifies the enemy, just like if an epidemic breaks out. What is the first thing you do when an epidemic breaks out and find out what is causing that epidemic to break out, isn't it? So Krishna explains who is your eternal enemy. We often tend to think, this man is my enemy, she is my enemy, she is envious of me, he is envious of me. But actually, nobody is your enemy. Your own mind cheats you and becomes your enemy. Your own mind becomes your friend. Nobody else is your enemy. If you're situated spiritually, then it happens in distress, you'll be undisturbed. Should material happiness occur, you take it as a passing phase and don't get attached. If misery occurs, you also take it as a passing phase and thinking, I should have got something. It hasn't done good, troublesome. But the Lord is so kind, He has minimized it. So, Krishna says, it is lust only the all-devouring enemy. And Krishna also tells you, this can never be satiated, but be satisfied. And the scriptures give an example. You have an itching sensation. You feel like scratching. You have skin disease. When you scratch, you may get some instant pleasure. But then what happens? The disease becomes worse. So therefore, doctors tell you, don't scratch, cover your body. So Krishna further says, where this enemy is located, just like you're looking for a terrorist, criminal, you identify he's in Vancouver, not in Calgary. Next step is, where in Vancouver? So Krishna says, mind, intelligence and senses are the sitting places of this enemy. In other words, the sensor of lust is operating through the agency of the mind, the senses and the intelligence. Then Krishna goes on to explain how this enemy can be destroyed. And he says he can destroy it with the weapon of knowledge. Knowledge is acquired by hearing, reading, etc. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the seed of devotional service will grow. In other words, as you chant the holy names of the Lord, your desire to serve the Lord will increase. Your desire to stay away from what is detrimental will increase. Right now, that's all we desire. Anti-spiritual activity. But in the chant Hare Krishna, you begin to cure your material disease. Just like a diseased man, when he takes a medicine, by that medicine, it begins to cure his disease. So we need to cure our disease. And that is possible by the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Now sometimes people wonder, how can you chant the same name again and again and not get tired? Have you heard that accusation before? They say, they're brainwashed. They've lost their intelligence. They've lost their thinking capacity. They chant the same name again and again. Because in ritual life, because of ritual sound being unsatisfying, you can never sing or hear the same song again and again on the radio, TV, or whichever. Now, the holy names of the Lord can be chanted without any stoppage. Why? Because the holy names of the Lord are absolute. It is said, the Lord has invested all His transcendental energies in the holy name. And when you enter the name Krishna, Krishna is actually there. When you enter the word dollar, does the dollar not manifest itself? When you utter the word hunger, does your hungry stomach get satisfied? Because it's relative. There's a difference between name and substance. But in the case of the Supreme Lord's name, because it is absolute, there's no difference. So this chanting of the holy name is highly recommended for everyone. Does not matter, you may be a family man. Family man means somebody with wife and children. Doesn't matter you're a brahmachari, celibate, single. Doesn't matter you're a sannyasi or vanaprastha. Bhaktivinoda says, please chant the holy name. This chanting the holy name will also give you love of God and bring you to a higher level of happiness. Ananda Muni Vardhana. Ananda Muni Vardhana means unlimited, unending happiness. In mature life, our experiences, any happiness has a beginning and an end. You may be a big hero, movie star, big pop star. You read last week of Michael Jackson, a big pop star, big movie star. You may be a big politician, but over time, everything's going to go away. So one who's intelligent looks around and says, no one in history has ever survived. No one in history has ever escaped misery. No one in history has escaped disease. How am I going to escape? There's no question of my being able to escape this. Long 500 years ago, there was a dialogue between Maharaj Yudhishthira and Yamraj. Yamraj is the superintendent of death. Are all of you scared of Yamraj? He supervises everyone's activity. Sometimes people say, who is witnessing all our actions? They say, you people believe in reincarnation, but who is witnessing all my activities? How do you know? Who knows? Who's keeping a record? When you're doing banking, depositing and withdrawing money, you have a teller or even a computer when it's operating under someone's supervision. It keeps a track. So people want to know who is keeping a track of your activities, good and bad. So this point was discussed by Lord Kapilale in conversation with his mother Devabhuti. So there are many witnesses to all our actions. You want to hear who they are? Want to hear? You may say, oh, I want to know who they are so I can hide from them. But even if you try to hide from them, you can't. The sun and the moon are two of the principal witnesses, or the two eyes of God. The sun and the moon can penetrate through any layer. So the sun and the moon are observing all our activities, and then there are different demigods who are in charge of air, fire, etc. And above all that is the Paramatma, the Lord of the heart. The Lord resides as the Paramatma in everyone's heart. Doesn't matter whether you're a terrorist, doesn't matter whether you're a devotee, doesn't matter whether you're a cruel man, doesn't matter whether you're a soft man, doesn't matter whether you have an animal's body, the Lord is there as your best friend in the form of Paramatma. Now what is the Lord doing as a Paramatma? Because the Lord is very active. You may be sleeping, but the Lord never sleeps. The Paramatma never sleeps. What's the Paramatma doing? A, it is witnessing all your activities. And of course, keeping a record. And you may be wondering, how does the Paramatma keep its record? This is something that you and I will never be able to comprehend. But Paramatma keeps a track of everything just by seeing it. Then the Paramatma also reciprocates without desire. Just like they say, man proposes, who disposes?
God disposes.
Right. The man proposes, Paramatma disposes. But the man proposes, I want this. Paramatma sees, when you're fit for that, you may propose, I want to buy the latest hybrid, and I want to have a house in the most expensive area of Vancouver. That's your desire. I want a house in the biggest mansion in Vancouver. Paramatma has noted your desire. Paramatma sees, what's your karma balance? And he says, oh, you can't get a balance. You can only get a room in a slum. That's what you get. Paramatma sees the guy wants a hybrid, but your karma will just allow you for bicycle. And that's what you get. So the Paramatma is the ultimate sanctioning authority. And on what basis does the Paramatma sanction? Based on our karma. As you sow, you shall reap. This is a famous quote from the Bible. So, based on our actions, the Paramatma approves, disapproves. Now you also see that some people turn to God and some people do not turn to God, isn't it? Just like, why isn't all Vancouver sitting here listening to this course? Why are only a handful of people doing it? Why? So how does that operate? It is said, Sarva Sachala Nirdi Sarivishwa Mataha Smrita Jnanam Apahanam Ja. I am the cause of remembrance, and I am the cause of forgetfulness. So God has given all of us freedom, just like the government of Canada has given every citizen freedom. What's our freedom? They can follow the laws of the state or defy the laws of the state. So similarly, we have the freedom to abide by the laws of God or to ignore the laws of God. So when the Lord sees there is someone, Mr. John, he wants to serve me, then the Lord creates the right environment in which that individual can begin the process of serving the Lord. So, as the Paramatma, the Lord fulfills several functions. So when you have a desire to achieve the goal of life, when you have a desire to achieve a higher level of happiness, the Lord arranges a situation by which these two goals can be fulfilled, or you can at least endeavor to achieve them. So this chanting of the holy names of the Lord is a remedy for all problems of life. Our spiritual master was in the mid-70s talking to the police commissioner of Chicago at that time. The police commissioner of Chicago had come to see Prabhupada, and he was complaining about a high crime, how the crime graph was going up. So Prabhupada explained why crime takes place. Crime takes place due to bad upbringing, bad association, lack of proper education, and unlimited material desires. So, and what is the remedy? If we can mold our character, and this can be realized in the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So this chanting is so easy, but unfortunately, even though it's so easy, we don't always take to it. In the early days of our movement, there was a cartoon. In the cartoon, the husband was telling the wife, chant, chant, chant! And the wife responded by saying, can. So that happens in our experience too. There's a cartoon in the New York Times. So, in our experience, we often request people, please chant, chant, chant. Some do take, some don't. Some take it very slow, moving at the speed of a good stream. But we should chant and progress. So Lord Chaitanya said, this seed of devotional service can grow by the chanting process. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, you see that Parikshit Maharaj, the emperor, Parikshit Maharaj was the emperor of the whole planet, and he was cursed by a Brahmin boy that he would die at the end of the 7-day period. So Parikshit Maharaj prepared for his departure in a very glorious way. He invited all the sages and asked them, what should one do when one to die? Actually, this question we should all be asking. Am I right or wrong? Yes. What do you say, sir? Why should we be asking why? Are we all going to die, or some people might go and can escape? Even if you have an insurance plan that guarantees you immorality? No. So we know, you're intelligent. You can see that everything is temporary. So, one should understand the nature of the soul which is eternal. Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter explains the difference between the body and the soul, how the soul is eternal, the body is perishable, and how the soul is transmigrating from one body to another, taking on the body and determined by our actions. So Parikshit Maharaj inquired, how will people in Kali Yuga be saved? And Kali Yuga is an age where by and large, people are irreligious, quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unfortunate. So, Shukadeva Goswami said, yes, it's a fact, Kali Yuga is an ocean of ice, but there is one benediction in this age, that is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had predicted 500 years ago, Prithividhyashitata Nagaradikram, Sarvada Prachara Vaivamurana, that in every town and village of the world, the holy name will be chanted. For a long time, many individuals thought this will not happen. But today you can go to any corner of the globe and you'll find a Hare Krishna temple. If you can go to any corner of the globe, you'll find a community of devotees. And what are they doing? Chanting the holy name of the Lord and perfecting their lives. So this chanting should be taken at any cost. In the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami, a great sage, says, my dear Lord, your holy name is sweet like sugar candy. Your pastimes are sweet like sugar candy. Your transcendental pastimes are sweet like sugar candy. But because my tongue is afflicted with the disease of avidya. What does avidya mean? Ignorance. He says, because I have disease of ignorance, I cannot appreciate the sweetness of the holy name. Just like, suppose you have jaundice disease, then even if somebody gives you sugar cane, you won't appreciate the sweetness. It's like that. Sometimes you have fever, high temperature, and even if someone gives you the best of spaghetti or samosas or kachoris, you won't be able to appreciate it. Why? Because of the taste buds. You're sick. So similarly, because of unlimited ritual desires manifesting itself through lust, anger, greed, envy, hatred, etc., we cannot appreciate the sweetness of the holy name. So what is the cure? In ritual life, they may identify a disease, but they may not have the cure. Just like you can go to a doctor, you may find out the disease, but you ask the doctor what's the cure, they may not know it. But the scriptures identify the disease and also give you the cure. So the cure is by regularly chanting the holy name of the Lord. This disease of avidya will get cured, and once again we will be able to appreciate the sweetness of the holy name. That is why we always request all of you to chant the holy name. Because you may not find it sweet in the beginning, but if you persist and make an effort, then eventually your disease will get cured. In the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Krishna discusses 3 different sources of happiness. Happiness in goodness, happiness in passion, happiness in ignorance. Krishna says happiness and goodness is that which in the beginning is bitter, then becomes sweet, and which makes you to self-realization. And happiness in the mode of passion is sweet in the beginning, bitter in the end, and it is derived of contact on the senses and sense objects. And then there happens in ignorance, which is based on inaction, laziness, etc. Now, happiness and goodness, what is the characteristic? Sweet in the beginning or bitter in the beginning? Bitter in the beginning, and it wakes up to self-realization. Now, there are so many things that are bitter in the beginning, sweet in the end. You have a major disease. You go for surgery. Isn't it better in the beginning? You may have the best insurance plan in Canada, but the insurance plan doesn't cover your pain, does it? It may pay your doctor's bills. It doesn't say you won't have pain, does it? Does any insurance plan cover your pain? No, okay. So, you go for surgery. It's probably going to be better in the beginning. But then when you recover from the disease, you think it was worth it. So, but it should bring you to self-realization. So happiness and goodness means bitter in the beginning, sweet in the end, and very careful self-realization. So when you have to find time to chant Hare Krishna, you obviously have to give up something else. Your day is only going to have 24 hours. It's not that if you say, okay, I'm going to chant now, so your day will stretch to 26 hours, 24 hours for your normal nonsense activities, and 2 hours for Hare Krishna. Your day is going to only have 24 hours. So obviously, if you want to chant, you have to give up something else, which may be painful in the beginning, just like a child that's used to sucking the thumb. When the mother tells the child, stop sucking the thumb, the child rebels initially, but later as he grows up, he recognizes the value. So, when we make up our mind, I'm going to chant, initially there may be some unpleasantness, but if we persist, then that will happen. And Lord Chaitanya further advised the importance of spiritual association. We encourage all of you to come every Sunday to the temple. During the week, most of you have businesses, jobs, studies, household duties, etc. But if you make it a point to come every Sunday to the temple, take part in the arati, have darshan of the beautiful Lordship Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Jagannath Svadabalam, go to die, and listen to the lecture, take prasad. This 2-hour activity once a week will help give you the determination to stay on the spiritual path. Staying on the spiritual path means pleasing Krishna, staying on the path of devotional service. And Krishna says, then you return to my spiritual abode, where you take a spiritual body. You want to know the difference between spiritual body and material body? Spiritual body never gets old. Good or bad? Huh? Good. Only one person said good. Spiritual body, good or bad? Good. No disease, good or bad? Huh? Good. The doctors will go broke. The pharmaceutical industry said, what the hell is this? No disease. We want more diseases. Most people don't like diseases, but there's some who love it. So, if you take a spiritual body, no disease, no death, no old age. That's available, but you have to pay a price. You don't get anything without paying a price. And the price you have to pay is chant Hare Krishna, eat Krishna prasad. Everyone has to eat. So Krishna says, Patra Puspam Phalam Toyam. He tells us what to eat, what not to eat. And Krishna says, if you eat without offering to me, you're eating only sin. So spiritual life is not all that difficult. Mature life is 1,000 times more difficult. And when practicing these simple principles of purification, you can find real happiness and peace of mind. Money will not give you peace of mind. The true success will not give you peace of mind. But this chanting of Hare Krishna will give you real peace of mind. So, a humble request to all of you is, please chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Associate with devotees by coming at least once a week. Whichever you eat at home, offer it to the Lord. How to offer it? You can obtain that knowledge through any of the devotees. And be determined not to waste a human life, but use it in the service of God. God helps those who help themselves. So if you sincerely make an effort to serve the Lord will reciprocate and give you the intelligence and determination by which we can achieve this. So please take this very seriously. Many times people say, yes, tomorrow. But they keep postponing it. Before tomorrow comes, something else comes. So don't waste a minute. Human life is very valuable. Chant the holy name, and thereby you'll be happy. So thank you very much. If you want, we can chant the holy name together for a few minutes.